Hello and welcome to Power Word 39. We are nearing the end of our series on the promises of God. We have established that positionally we are children of the King, and with that position comes the authority commensurate with royalty. But possessionally, we may not yet be operating or seeing manifest everything that is ours. Can you think of examples in history where there was the misuse of power and authority? It's laughable that I would even ask that question. Even Jesus had to deal with this. He rebuked the religious leaders for lording over the people and putting heavy burdens on them that God never intended. And his disciples asked if they could command fire to come down and consume the people. Jesus had to rebuke them, saying, "You do not know what spirit you are of." In essence, communicating that you guys are totally missing the big picture here. And until you get it, you will not be operating in that kind of authority. But it does not mean that this authority was outside of their purview. I mean, Elijah stopped it from raining for 3 years and then started it again. The authority that kings and princes and presidents and rulers and titans of industry wield impacts the lives of not just hundreds and thousands of people, but in some cases, millions of lives. As a small business owner, I have felt the weight of recognizing that my decisions are impacting the economies and futures of the families who have put their trust in me as an employer. Now, I have started off taking my point to an extreme because I think it helps makes my point more clear. And my point is to explain how positionally we are children of God, but possessionally we are not yet walking in the fullness of our power and authority that will be ours. As a dad, I know I should not give my kids certain things that they say they want at certain premature stages of life, when they're 5 years old and they're totally convinced they understand how to drive. It would be foolish, irresponsible, let alone illegal for me to hand them the keys to the car and say, "Congratulations." Do I want them to be able to enjoy the great blessing of driving in their life? Yes. Do I trust that one day they will be ready to experience the amazing joy, convenience, and fun of driving? Yes. But it is because of my love for them that I have the understanding that they are not yet ready for this amazing privilege. If we, with our vast imperfections as parents, know that we are to withhold certain awesome and amazing things from our kids because they are not ready for them yet, should we expect any less from God our Father, who has infinite wisdom and understanding? Of course not. Positionally, we are children of God and heirs along with Christ of all things, but possessionally, we are not yet walking in the fullness of power and authority that will be ours. Galatians 4 1 through 2 says it this way. Let me illustrate. As long as the heir is a minor, he's not really much different than a servant, although he's the master over all of them. For until the time appointed by the father, the child is under domestic supervision of the guardian or steward of the estate. Proverbs 20, verse 21 says, an inheritance gained in a hurry at the beginning will not be blessed in the end. Even the children of Israel, who had been believing for the fulfillment of the promised land for over 400 years, did not receive it all at once because they couldn't handle it. Exodus 23:29 says, I will not drive them out before you in a single year, so that the land does not become desolate due to lack of attention, and the wild animals of the field do not become too numerous for you. Let me review how we got to this point. The topic has been the promises of God found in the Bible. We have talked about what a promise is, God's willingness to give them to us, and our involvement in receiving them. We have talked about why they are not just given to us and how we can contend for them to manifest in our lives. We have renewed our minds to our being children of God, meaning Jesus is our brother, and we are co-heirs with Christ. With this position as royalty comes authority and power and access to the resources of the kingdom. But God our Father, in his wisdom, does not just give us the keys to the kingdom. And yet, he wants to. Luke 12:32 says, "It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." We need to renew our minds as to the thoughts and intentions of God. We need to learn to use our faith, because without faith, it is impossible to please him. We need to grow in our character because we are predestined to be like Jesus. What God is doing in us and through us is more important than our Papa God giving us our every whim. One activity in which my kids and I have had a lot of fun is playing video games together. There is this feature in a lot of video games where your character that you are playing has to overcome certain challenges to earn XP or experience points. Sometimes you could just sneak ahead in the game without overcoming the challenges, and you will just get creamed by the enemy because you do not have the enough XP to be able to win a battle against this particular enemy. You end up having to go back, get more XP before you can move forward in the game. There are other times when the game will flat out not let you move forward until you have enough experience. The game knows that you are coming in, the game knows what is coming in the future and just stops you from moving forward until you are ready. Now, some games will let you get so much XP that you become OP. That's gamer talk for overpowered. That's when you become almost godlike within the game, and all the obstacles and enemies are super easy to conquer. As long as you persevere and don't rage quit and throw down the game controller and the battery comes out and you grab the battery and throw that, only to then realize that you just broke the TV with the controller battery. Perseverance means continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition without breaking the TV. Yeah. Romans 5:3. We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they will help us develop perseverance. Mom, Daddy said a bad word. And perseverance develops character, and character hope. And hope does not disappoint us. So God's promises are all yes, and we come into agreement with amen. But they are all not just given to us. Sometimes we need to gain a little faith, XP, before we can move forward. Remember, God's value system is relationship, and we grow in our relationship as we trust him with perseverance. We are all destined to become like Jesus as we grow in character, being transformed into his image. And without hope, there is no faith. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. Thank you for your time and attention. I value it very much. Our next power word, I think, might be our last in this series on the promises of God, and it is about growing in our faith.